If you want to go ahead and hold that sign up for us real quick, a little bit higher. That'll do her. I'll take her for you. Thank you.
All right, we're with Parker Adkins. Parker, first of all, you're a part of the new breed of Penn football. You just heard some of the stories from Mike Edwards back in the early days, so it's interesting. What were you thinking about as you were listening to that? Because this is the only thing you've ever known. It was greatness.
It was pretty intriguing listening to him talking about getting beat that bad and having to restart and build up. I mean, we never really had that during my time. I mean, we've always been good, and it's been the standard. So, I mean, hearing that was definitely impacting.
One of the things that Coach Giesman and since then Coach Yeoman has done a wonderful job of continue on is something that Dr. Spiker and Coach Giesman did in the early stages. They created something called the Penn Way. And the Penn Way is something that it goes throughout the entire school system. And they want to have the best softball team, the best debate team, the best robotics. Everything they want to do is going to be the best of. So let's start there and talk about the Penn Way. What defines the Penn Way in your mind?
Penn Way, in my mind, would definitely be wearing the name Penn. You know that there's a standard. I mean, you have to come out every day. You're going to have to practice. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to do the things that are required to make an excellent team. And I think it's selfless, too. I mean, the Penn Way is not about a bunch of individuals. I mean, everyone's coming together to build a great program. Everyone knows that they have to buy in. And so I think the Penn Way is definitely selfless, and it's just knowing that you have to work hard.
From your perspective, it's a unique dynamic. Your dad was a great high school player, played over at Bethel College. Your brother ended up being a part of playing the state championship, so you've had a chance. This is something you were kind of groomed for. So I want you to take me back to the earliest remembrance of your baptism into Penn football. What was it?
Oh, I mean, with my mom being a teacher there and my family living so close to Penn, we've gone to Penn games since I remember I could even walk. And I remember listening and watching a lot of the Penn greats and just going year by year. Going to a football camp, you're not supposed to start until 4th grade, but they let me come in as a kindergartner. So that was always fun. I remember playing on like Zach Oakley's 4th grade Razzle Dazzle team, and he's a couple years older than me. So that, looking back at that was definitely cool. But I mean, going through all those years and watching the games and then traveling down to the team, and then sometimes it'd come up short, and I'd be so upset in the car. My parents would be like, it's all right, there's always a next year, but I remember just being so upset. But specifically, one of the years that really upset was my brother's year. I mean, I thought that was going to be the year, and then they're going down there and had a great year, and then just to get defeated like that and see my brother upset, and it was definitely like, you know what, I don't want to have to feel that. I want to work hard enough to where we can get farther and actually win the championship. Give us an idea as you looked at the competition that you were playing. One thing I think Corey has continued on with what Chris did. If Matt and I and all the guys, we'll look at these. Penn's playing South Bend Riley tonight. They're going to beat these guys by 60. But you guys have never gone into this mindset, and we have the affordability to do that as the guys in the media. We could talk about that stuff. But you cannot afford to have that mindset. So let's talk about how Corey and Chris created a dynamic that never allowed you to look ahead or never put yourself in a position to take anybody lightly. And, I think the coaches do a very well job with that. I mean, they'll always find a couple athletes, because all South Bend teams have some great athletes, and they'll always find those handful of athletes. I'm like, you have to be careful with them, because any moment a switch could start, and then we could be down, the tables can turn. I mean, so they'd always find a couple athletes and like, those are their guys, you're going to have to watch out for them, and then we kind of make a game plan or have a scout team player represent one of them. And I think that helped us stay focused and saying, that they're not, there's going to be some guys out there that can play, just because they may not record or scores may not show it, but they can definitely play still.
I want you to tell me about the first time you put on that Penn helmet as a varsity player, and you went out there on, whether it be Freed Field or it was on the road. What was that experience like for you?
I actually can remember that. It was Valpo game my sophomore year. It was a home game, and it was super humid. It was super hot. I think it was like 95, and it was really humid, and coaches were emphasizing, getting water all week. And I remember just stretching there. It was blue skies, and it was the year I think Kyle Trieber and them were seniors. So I remember just we were kind of in the back of the stretching lines and just kind of taking it all in, because it was the first time you actually got to see Freed Field and a varsity experience.
What's it like playing on Freed Field for a student athlete?
It's kind of hard to describe. Well, it's now that I've done, it's definitely like you miss it a lot more because you kind of miss the fans. I mean, every game, even though the ones we'd be playing South Bend and they know that we'd have a good chance when people would still show up, people would still be loud. And so, I mean, now that every day that's gone by, I miss it more and more.
I've had a lot of people say to me that the high school experience that I had at Penn or wherever the case may be was so great that when I went off to college, everything was totally different. I don't know if you've heard that before, but now as you're going off to college to play, those expectations are amazing at Penn. Have you thought about that dynamic as you go to college, especially in a startup program at Indiana Wesleyan like you're going to?
Yeah, I got a little glimpse of that this past week. I went down for a workout there, and then I was coming back. I'm like, this just feels like I went to a camp, and I'm supposed to go back and tell Coach Corey what happened and what it was all about. So, I mean, you don't know these people personally like you knew like the Penn coaches and Coach Corey and all of them. So, I mean, it's definitely different, and then the work ethic's going to be a little bit different, but Penn gets you definitely ready for that. I mean, just the excellence. A lot of these kids that are coming into programs aren't groomed like we are with great coaches and great programs. I think that helped out a lot.
Talk about your position. Who's your position coach, and talk about the influence that your position coach had on you.
So luckily outside linebackers kind of have two position coaches. We have Coach Pete Reardon and Coach Dave Manspeaker, and I've known Coach Manspeaker for a very long time. It's same with Coach Peak, with my mom teaching and just being around the school programs. Both are great guys, and I mean they always were there to help out. Always very positive, and in the film room they'd always be able to point stuff out that I wouldn't see on my own. And then on the practice field we're doing scout team to break things down and actually explain it. And that way I could see it and visualize it. But I mean both were always positive, and they're always checking in on me even outside of football. How you doing? And so I mean I think that was definitely warming.
I want you to reflect back to your junior season. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you got a chance to start in your junior season,
Yeah.
correct? All right, so what do you remember distinctly about your 11th grade year? Was there a game, was there a play that was defining for your 11th grade season?
Junior year, I would say one of the first things I remember that were big was kind of playing Brother Rice, because we didn't really know anything about them, and that was their first big team that we played as a start. I mean, I was kind of nervous, and we traveled up to Detroit. That was the first time we traveled that far, and I remember we ended up being pretty nervous. We actually did pretty well though, and I mean that was a pretty defining moment. But after that, the Carmel game for sure, just going into that, I mean, finally wanting to get back and get the win, finally get past them, and just when that happened on Freed Field, I mean, memory can't beat that.
Okay, now take me back to your senior season. What was it? Was there a game? Was there a play? Was there a moment during that senior season that will live forever in your mind?
I think the St. Mary's game. I think that was kind of that was one of my most memorable games. I mean, because they beat us the previous year, and they're a very tough team. And when we went up there, expectations are high, but you had to travel again, and people can lose focus. But we stayed focused and ended up winning 10-7. And I remember just Coach Corey being so ecstatic in the locker room after that, and it was funny to see that.
Coach Corey and Coach Giesman always created a dynamic. If somebody went down with an injury, it became another person's opportunity. So they created a mindset that you got to be ready to play at a moment's notice. Can you talk about that as a player, knowing that if something happened, you got hurt, you got banged up, you had to sit out a couple plays, that your replacement was going to be to go in there and make a difference?
Yeah, definitely we had to deal with that this senior season when we were losing so many offensive linemen and losing the key receivers and losing key players. I mean, I remember sitting there after game 2 when we lost our key receiver. I was just thinking to myself, what are we going to do now? I mean, he was a big part of our offense, big part of our special teams. And then we came out there, go Brother Rice, lose another offensive lineman. It's the next game, lose another offensive. I'm like, how are we going to get to the state playoffs with all of these guys gone? But I mean, coaches groomed them so well and got them so ready, and we ended up doing just fine for, the amount of guys that we lost.
All right, I want you to define what Penn football has done for you.
Penn football has definitely shaped me more as a man. I mean, without a doubt, shaped me more as a man, and then just gave me the work ethic and how to treat other people, how to work together. I mean, nothing in life's going to be really individual, and so with them teaching you that, that was hands down one of the greatest things I've ever experienced in my life, would be Penn football.
Finally, I've noticed just from afar that you've grown spiritually, you've grown politically, you've been outspoken politically. Good for you, and I agree with you. So having said all that, has the Penn football experience brought a new type of confidence in you as a human being that you're going to be able to take into the real world?
Absolutely. I mean, getting those opportunities to play my junior and senior season was, I mean, that kind of brought a new confidence to me, and the success we had, I mean, that also helped. And then Coach Corey, and then just playing through a great program, helping me move on to another program. I mean, that also brought some confidence to me. I'm hoping to come back one day and help the program and represent the area in any way I can.
Excellent.
Awesome. Good stuff.